We've seen the rise of the mega factory games, we've built interstellar supply chains in Dyson Sphere program, and fought off aliens while laying pipe in Factorio. But what if you stripped away the sci-fi, what if you stripped away the aliens, and what if you just wanted to wash some lettuce? Today we're taking a look at Food Processing Simulator. Is this the Factorio of food we've been waiting for, or is it just a glorified salad chopping tech demo? I spent the last week running the numbers, and the answer might surprise you. Hey everyone, welcome back to JaeTeeGames. Today we're clocking in for a shift at Food Processing Simulator. This title just dropped into early access on Steam on December 18th, developed by Bawalba Studios. Now if you've been following the channel, you know I love a good simulation game. There is something deeply satisfying about taking a chaotic mess of orders and turning it into a streamlined money-making machine. When I saw this game pop up, promising to let us build a food empire from the ground up, I had to check it out. It's sitting in a very accessible price point around £10 or $12, which places it firmly in that budget indie sim category. But the question is, what are we actually getting for that tenner? I've been playing it extensively, moving from manual labour to full automation, and I have some thoughts. We're going to look at the gameplay loop, the math behind the logistics, the current lack of variety, and ultimately whether you should add this to your cart or let it spoil on the shelf. But before we start slicing and dicing, do me a huge favour and hit that like button. It tells YouTube that you enjoy these deep dive reviews and helps the channel grow more than you know. Alright, let's get to work. So what is the fantasy here? Food Processing Simulator is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a first-person management and logistics game. You aren't playing as a silent floating camera in the sky, you are a person on the factory floor. The vibe isn't high-tech laboratory, it's a bit gritty, it's a bit industrial. You start with a small empty warehouse, a tablet, and a few pallets. Your goal is to take raw ingredients, currently focusing heavily on vegetables and salads, process them, package them, and ship them out before the deadline hits. If I had to draw a direct comparison, it feels incredibly similar to Parcel Simulator. You have the same rhythm of accepting contracts, organizing a physical space, and dealing with boxes, but Food Processing Simulator swaps out the cardboard shipping logistics for perishable goods. However, unlike the titans of the genre like Satisfactory, this isn't about building a computer capable of calculating the meaning of life, it's grounded. It's about the engineer fantasy of layout and flow, but also the grunt work fantasy of manual labor. It's about buying low, processing fast, and selling high. It's simple, but is it too simple? Let's break down the gameplay. The core loop of the game is broken down into days. Every morning you start at your tablet, and this is where the game actually clicked for me, and it's where a specific type of player, the type who loves a spreadsheet, is gonna find their joy. You don't just buy food, you have to look at the contracts available. Let's say you have a contract for 500 crates of washed lettuce, you have to check the market price for raw lettuce, you have to calculate how much raw product you need to meet that 500 crate quota without overstocking and wasting money on storage space. For me, this was a highlight. Working out the math, deciding if I should pre-make a batch of stock for a future contract, or if I should just focus on the quick daily orders. That strategic layer is where the game asks you to use your brain. Once you hit order, the clock starts, the delivery truck arrives, and the physical work begins. You have to unload the pallets and get them into your warehouse. Now let's talk about the early game. In the beginning, you are the machine, you are moving boxes, you are physically taking raw ingredients to the washing station, and you are packing them. I actually found this phase quite immersive. I know for some people, manual labor in a video game sounds tedious, and I can definitely see how, if you're impatient, you might find this slow. But there is a deliberate pacing here. Because you have to do it by hand first, you understand the bottleneck and you feel the slowness. So when you finally earn enough money to buy your first automated machine or your first conveyor belt, it feels earned. You aren't just placing a graphic on a screen, you are saving yourself actual physical clicks and movement. However, don't expect Factorio levels of complexity. The automation here is very plug and play. You buy a machine, say a cutter or a washer, you place it, you slap a conveyor belt between them, and you're done. There are no complex logic gates, there are no splitters that require a degree in fluid dynamics. It is linear. Raw veggies go in, chopped veggie comes out, boxed veggie gets shipped. For me, this simplicity is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's relaxing, it's chill, you can turn your brain off and just watch the boxes flow. On the other hand, if you are coming here looking for a puzzle, you won't really find one. The puzzle is the logistics of the schedule, not the geometry of the belts. Eventually, you can hire employees, and honestly, they're fine. They aren't game changers. They feel a bit more like a stat boost than a simulation of a workforce. You can assign them to tasks, but they can be fiddly. Sometimes they get in the way, and sometimes they don't prioritize what you want them to. I found them to be just numbers, really. I hired them because I needed the extra hands, but I never felt like I was managing a team. I was just automating a task with a human skin instead of a metal one. Speaking of hiring help, if you want to help support the channel directly, consider checking out the join button below. It gets you special access to our Discord where we discuss these simulation games in depth, and we're planning a community challenge for a game next week. Plus, we've got some merch dropping soon for those of you who love the industrial aesthetic. Links are in the description. Back to the factory floor. So why play this? What does Food Processing Simulator actually get right? First, the price to value ratio. As I mentioned, it's £10. In a world of $70 AAA disappointments, there is something refreshing about a game that sets a modest goal and hits it. It's an accessible entry point. If you have $10 and a free weekend, you will get your money's worth of entertainment. Second, the dopamine of the math. I touched on this earlier, but I want to emphasize it. If you enjoy optimization, not the complex wire connecting kind, but the logistical spreadsheet kind, this scratches that itch. Balancing your bank account, predicting your order volume, and seeing a massive contract complete notification pop up with a huge payout is genuinely satisfying. And third, the hygiene and spoilage mechanics. While the food basically acts like any other factory item, the threat of spoilage adds a nice layer of tension. You have to manage cold storage, you can't just leave stock sitting out on the floor forever. It forces you to be efficient. It's not just about speed, it's about preservation. That subtle pressure keeps the gameplay from becoming too passive. However, we have to be realistic. This is an early access title, and right now, the menu is very limited. The biggest issue for me is the content variety. Currently, this feels less like a food processing simulator and more like a salad preparation simulator. You're washing lettuce, you're cutting tomatoes, you're boxing kale. The mechanics are begging for complexity. I want to make pizzas. I want to assemble ready meals with multiple ingredients, sauce, dough, toppings, packaging. I want to manage the heat of an oven, not just the cold of a fridge. Right now, once you unlock the basic processing machines, you're essentially seeing the whole game. The only difference between processing a tomato and a lettuce is the icon on the box. It feels a bit skin deep. You could replace the vegetables with car parts or cardboard boxes and the gameplay would be 90% identical. The food part of the title isn't fully utilized yet. Also, while I didn't have any game-breaking disasters, there is a level of jank here. It's functional, but it's not polished. The UI can be clunky, moving products around can feel floaty. It lacks that crisp, tactile snap that you get in more mature simulators. And regarding the automation, I mentioned earlier that I like the simplicity, but for many of you that will be a negative. If you're coming from Factorio, you'll be bored by the lack of complex belt setups. You're essentially drawing a straight line from point A to point B. There is no logistical puzzle to solve regarding the layout, only the timing. So what is the verdict on Food Processing Simulator? If you were looking for a deep, complex engineering puzzle where you spend hours designing logic gates and efficient manifold systems, this is not it. Stick to Satisfactory. However, if you were looking for a chill, low-stakes management game where you can put on a podcast, crunch some numbers, and watch a factory grow from a dusty garage to a bustling warehouse, all for the price of a takeout lunch, then this is a solid pickup. It has a great foundation. The math of the orders is engaging, and the loop of earning and upgrading is addictive, but it desperately needs more food. It needs recipes, it needs cooking, it needs to step beyond the salad bar and into the kitchen. I'm going to keep this installed, and I'm very curious to see the roadmap. If the developers can add complex assembly lines, lasagnas, burgers, frozen meals, this could be a massive hit. For now, it's a tasty appetizer, but I'm still waiting for the main course. That is going to do it for my review of Food Processing Simulator. I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you picking this up? And more importantly, if you were the developer, what food item would you add to the game first? I'm voting for frozen pizza just for the complexity of the toppings. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more reviews of simulation and strategy games, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We cover everything from the biggest AAA factories to the smallest indie gems. I've been JT, this is JaeTeeGames, and I'll see you on the next production line.